That's what God told Gideon. You have no idea how powerful you are. What's his response? But I'm the least of my father's house. My father's house is the least of all the clans in Israel. There's no way I can do what you're asking me to do. There's no way that I can fulfill the mission that you're giving me. And so God gives up. He says, okay, you won't listen to me, so I got some advice for you. Why don't you just go down and listen to what your enemy is saying about you? You won't listen to me. So go listen to what your enemy is saying, and it will encourage you. So Gideon and his servant, they go down. There's a tent. They eavesdrop, they listen in, and they overhear a man had a dream, and it was a dream of how a loaf of bread wins the battle. And the friend hears the story, hears the dream, the nightmare that the guy had, and he says, the loaf of bread is Gideon's sword. So notice how the enemy sees a loaf of bread. Notice how the enemy sees something that should be able to cause no destruction or harm. The enemy sees bread as a sword. So Gideon sees himself, but how he sees himself is incomplete. So God gives him the interpretation of how the enemy sees him, not how he sees himself, but the enemy sees him not as just bread, the enemy sees him as a sword. Because hell fights you over what heaven calls you. So how you see yourself, how we see what we do is only part of the picture. So what do we have to do? We have to recognize there's heaven's view, there's earth's view, and there's hell's view. Heaven's view, Gideon, you're a mighty man of valor. Earth's view, I'm the least of my father's house. Hell's view, the loaf of bread is a sword, shaking in their boots, trembling, insomnia, cannot sleep because of who Gideon is. All throughout Scripture, you see the differences in the view. The little child laid in the manger. Heaven's view, this is the seed. His heel will crush the enemy's head. He will end up stealing back the keys of death, hell, and the grave. Earth's view, don't even give him a room at the end. Put him in a barn. Most miss it. Hell's view, Herod says, kill all the male children under the age of 3 because my kingdom is about to end. Paul said 5 times in the New Testament, I am not inferior. I am not inferior. The greatest apostle in the New Testament gave us over half of our New Testament scriptures, had to remind himself over and over, I am not inferior. At some point, we have to get a view of how hell sees us, how hell sees what we do, and this is the reason why. It is possible that hell has more faith in us than we have in ourselves.